What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today's video is going to be a continuation of the shrouds for the breathers that are part of the Denver 3D carbon fiber intake tube kit that replaces the PCV hose that goes from right around the strut tower to the back to the factory intake. On Cody's intake tube, he doesn't include that hose just so he doesn't have to have a couple of holes in the intake tube. So anyway, this one here with the black breather is the original prototype he sent out. This is a new prototype he sent out to me. You can see that with the new prototype, it provides a lot more coverage of the actual breather itself. When it's on the car, the orientation is like this. So you can see, here's the original. You can see how much protection that covers when it's, under the heat extractor. And then here's what the new one covers. Substantially more coverage there. A couple other things that he's done with the second prototype is he reversed the placement of the nut and the screw head. So again, when it's on the car, it's like this, and on the original, the nut was on that side. So it made it so you couldn't really tighten the shroud down when it was on the car. With this one, he has reversed it, so the nut is on the other side, which means the bolt head is open there. That's a 2.5 millimeter Allen key. So once you get it on the car, you can still move the shroud around and then clamp it down. The other thing that I noticed was, I believe he's either widened the actual material that generates the clamp part, or he's thinned out the material around the edge here. This breather here is a 15 millimeter opening here. This is actually the one that I pulled off the hose and super glued back on. Ironically, this has been on the car now for about 3 weeks like this. I was able to get it off the car without ripping this back off again, but that super glue seems to be holding pretty well, so I was pretty impressed with that. But I digress. So this one here, this 15 millimeter, trying to get it through this opening to get it on the car was a nightmare. Trying to stretch this material wide enough to be able to get this through. I actually had to have my wife help me do it. It was a very difficult process trying to keep this open wide enough to be able to get that through. This one is actually the 18 millimeter breather that I got, that I wanted to see if it's easier to put this on and off the car, again on that barbed end that this goes on. And I noticed that when you unscrew the bolt, it kind of spreads it open more, so you can see, even though the spread kind of looks about the same, it definitely looks like he's taken a little bit of material off of the inside of this loop here. So I was actually able to get this 18 millimeter hose. Now remember, this is 3 millimeters thicker than this one, and I was able to get it through the shroud without a problem, just using a small flathead screwdriver to pry that open, and it gave me just enough room to start one side in, and then I could use the screwdriver to press this in enough to get it through. So it provides, and it's wide enough that you can see that I'm still able to spin the breather within the that connection. So I think he's definitely removed a little bit of material or made it wider, but anyway, I think this works actually much better. And with the nut being on the other side now, and the screw head being exposed, it should allow to be able to clamp it down. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and get it on the car, and then I will show you what it looks like as the after product. All right, so here it is. This is the new version of the shroud actually on the car. You can see it definitely provides a lot more coverage of the breather. You can see where that is. I don't know if I can get back far enough, probably not. But there's the vent, and then I'm going to pan down slowly. There's the breather. I think even at the right angle, if you're looking, if you're looking at the car this way, you'd see down into the extractor, and I think that even in that position, I think that's going to cover enough of the shroud that even water sprayed directly into the vent through washing the car with a pressure washer or hose or whatever, I think that lower section is covered plenty. You're not going to get any water in there. So a couple of notes about installation. This is the 18 millimeter breather. I tried that on the car. It did not work. The breather itself actually went on the car. The shroud went on the breather. The problem is they remove enough material on the inside of the hose there to make it an 18 millimeter opening that the shroud could not get enough clamping force to keep from spinning around. The clamp, even when I had the screw tightened down on the shroud, as much as I can tighten it, the shroud still spun freely around the breather while it was on the car. So I think that's something to do with just the fact that that's an 18 millimeter opening versus the 15 millimeter. So this is basically the same breather, but it's only got the 15 millimeter opening. And putting that on, it definitely had enough clamping force. You know, I'm trying to twist it right now and you can see it's not really moving. And it's back far enough on there. If I pull that back, I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Let's see. You can see, you know, the hose itself is back far enough on that barb, and you can see where the, let's see here. Crap, this camera, it's actually so wide now you can't actually see under it. Maybe we can get it back here. You can see the part of the clamp right there. So it's back far enough on that fitting that it's definitely holding, you know, pretty strongly on there. The only thing I will note is, you know, with it being as wide as it is, you can see how close the edge of the shroud gets to that braiding for that hose there. I purposely turned it up a little bit to make sure there was a gap here. You know, when the motor is under load, I don't know if it flexes enough and if this hose, you know, will move back and forth, but I definitely didn't want that corner of the shroud actually running on the braiding and away, you know, braiding away the actual braiding of the hose. After I run this for a couple of weeks and, you know, get into the car a couple of times and put the motor under load and stuff like that, I'll pull this out, or I'll take a look at the hose and make sure that it's actually not, you know, getting hit by the shroud. But again, I did try to leave enough room there to make sure that it's, hopefully it's not going to hit. You know, the other one, I was able to turn it much further towards the driver's side, but because of that, I didn't want to go any further than that. But again, I think that this actually is a perfect design. I do believe, like I said, you know, you can see there's the vent, there's the breather again. I don't think that you're going to get water that's going to be able to get around that shroud and get to the breather. I mean, it would have to be at an extreme, absolute low angle, direct spray of water through where the vent would be down through here to hit that lower section. I also think even if you were to have water, you know, hitting the top of the shroud, I think when it gets to the edge here and it drips off, it's not even going to drip into the breather on that top side there. So I think all in all, I think this is probably the way to go from the perspective of the shroud. Again, I want to thank Cody for sending these out to me for testing purposes. Right now, I do know that, you know, from my first video that I did on the intake tube itself, you know, Cody offered a discount code. And I think the discount code is good through the end of December. So again, if you want that intake tube, I think the discount code is in the description of the first video I did. I believe it's $340 with the discount code, and again, that's by the end of the month. I'm not sure when he will have the shrouds actually in production. Again, I'm going to run this for several weeks or whatever and let him know. You know, based on what I'm seeing right now, I do think that this is probably going to be the perfect solution for this. Again, here's the other version. I'm going to see if I can hold this with one hand next to the one that's there to try to give an idea of, yeah, it's not going to work. It's too damn difficult holding the camera and this thing all at the same time. Let's see here. So you can see by comparison just how much wider that other one is in relation to the position of what the breather would be sitting at. So definitely the second version is the way to go. If I find out more information from Cody related to when this might be available, I'll be sure to let everybody know either in the descriptions for this video or through any posting on the Facebook groups. Again, thanks for watching.